Hey guys, welcome back to another My Team career mode video, and today we are going to be doing the Imola Grand Prix. The last one was Melbourne, Australia. If you haven't checked that one out, go back and check it in my Team playlist. Also, if you haven't already, and no one really has yet, because no one is watching my videos at this point in time because this is a new channel, but go and hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and help me out. Help this channel starting to get going. If you've not been here before, which no one has, as I just said, this is a documentary of me getting good at these F1 games after not having played them for, almost a decade in any kind of seriousness. So we are now going in to sign another sponsor, and what I did notice is that the car was looking a bit bare. I forgot to put all the sponsorship decals on, so I just quickly went in before this race and put all that back on. An upgrade came through for the powertrain, and then I went and I put it on a weight reduction upgrade for the energy store cells. So just trying to work on that chassis, as I discussed in the first video. I want to really hit the chassis hard and make sure that we got a nice stable car. We're sitting mid-pack as far as the development race goes, and all these sort of activities I'm trying to focus on: one, building the driver, and also like resource points and team acclaim. Had to choose a rival for this race, and I went with Daniel Ricciardo because seems to be the guy that I'm roughly racing with in the races. So that was my choice there. We'll see how that goes. I had also a development fail, the aero development that I had going, so I just went in and rebooted that. Also had another one fail, the dampers, which was a tire wear upgrade on the chassis, and I didn't have enough resource points, so I couldn't do that one just yet. Did the supercar thing, the time trial, the Pirelli time trial thing, so that was just take it that they're being done. There's no point in showing them. Also went in and did a upgrade on the departments to quality control to make sure that I didn't keep getting these R&D things that are failing. So just really focusing on getting a lot of the departments up to spec so we keep moving the car forward. Imola, I haven't raced this track in a while, many years, like since pre 90s, I think, because it hasn't been on the calendar. So I went in, did time trial, and just basically here I am just trying to get to grips with it, set a better time. I'm not the fastest guy, as I've said many times. I'm just really trying to get good at this game again, and didn't do too bad. I think I'm only 3.5 seconds off the top time on the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation. I think it's all connected, so not too bad. I've just realized as well before this race that I had something in my settings that wasn't right, and is why I wasn't getting any faults on my cars. Like no engines were failing or anything. It's because I didn't have it on high. I thought standard was it just meant that it would be standard, and it wasn't. So now I should get some engine failures if I need to. Into practice one, and this is a sprint weekend. So we got to do this, and then we got to do qualifying. I was still getting to grips with it, but I did complete all these. I'm only doing them once or twice, in case I do have a crash or something, just to get it done. And also, I don't want it to be, I'm hitting a perfect score every time. So I want it to be kind of realistic that I'm not going to get all the developments that I'm supposed to. So that's why I only do really the one run. And I just take it as it comes. Like whatever score I get, or whatever I do, that's the resource points I get for these programs, and any of the bonuses they give you on, deductions on some of the upgrades. So after practice one, we weren't too far up the pack. I was in 15th. Wasn't too bad. I'm fairly way quicker than my teammate. And I forgot to save the screen grab, the capture from qualifying, so I completely missed that. But this video is going to be long enough as it is, because we got a sprint race and a whole race to go through it anyway. But qualifying got missed, and also I changed a bunch of components because it said that there's no penalty for this action. But actually what ended up happening was, and I didn't realize until after the sprint race, is that yes, there is a penalty for that, and it's going to kind of null and void the whole sprint race result that I get, which I'm going to show you shortly. But I just usually go into these practice sessions to simulate the time so I don't get any dodgy stuff going on, and I just change the components to the ones that I want to use for the race. Bit disappointing. I'm going to start thinking about what to do with my second driver here, because he's not getting any resource points in a lot of the practice sessions, which is crap, because we need them, and so I'm the only sole supplier of resource points. Also went in and did an upgrade on the ERS and a reliability upgrade on the ICE, because I forgot that I had one that I needed to reboot.
So it is all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, George Russell and Leclerc, Bottas, Magnussen, Norris and Yuki Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Gasly, Mick Schumacher, the owner driver, Joe, Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel and Nicholas Latifi, Ocon, Alessio De Leda, Albon and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We will soon find out. Here we go then, the formation lap is underway ahead of today's sprint. As all the cars take their positions on the grid, the final preparations have been made. All that's left is for the drivers to deliver on the track.
So here we are in the sprint race, my first ever sprint race, and actually having to race them in the games it's bringing me around. I don't mind it actually every now and then. Not every race, but it's cool. So we get an average start. We are running, I think we started 15th or something. And Verstappen had a bad session, so he's down there fighting with us at the back, and I think he actually might have got some damage there, maybe? No, doesn't seem to be. He is straight past us again after that little tussle between myself, him, and Zhou Guanyu. I actually go wide there, and that's some of the difficulty I have still with using the joystick. Is that if you go straight for a second in a corner, if you slip on it or whatever, you kind of there's no leeway to correct it. So it's something I'm still having to get to grips with. Naturally, with the steering wheel, I could probably, compensate for that a little bit more. But, as with the purpose of this channel, trying to get better. And I'm just going with the basics right now because I don't want to invest a bunch into this. I just want to prove that you can start from anywhere with your channel doing this type of content. And and make it work long term. So it's going to be a long road and a long process, but we're going to get it done. Joe goes in because he got some damage, and we are in P15. Verstappen is moving up ahead of us, and Sainz is in the lead with Perez, and they are just already like only a few laps in, and they're walking away with this sprint race already. Skipping ahead to lap 4 now, and I'm on the back of this train here of Tsunoda. Verstappen's in there with Gasly and Mick Schumacher. Verstappen's really not a part of this fight. He's just trying to get as far up as he can for the actual race. And there's not many laps to do that. So basically every overtake's really critical. This is my teammate, Deletta. I was just complaining about him and getting the elbows out, making a bit of a move there on Latifi, I think it is. It is Latifi, but he's generally always running at the back at this stage of the career mode. And then we got up ahead. So this is Tsunoda and Schumacher, the GOAT Junior, having a bit of a tussle. And the more they do that, the more I'm hoping that I can get involved. AlphaTauris aren't really showing much in this early part of the season. This is Leclerc, and up ahead, yellow flag, and that is Lewis Hamilton with an engine failure. So not good news for Mercedes. He's going to be starting at the back of the grid for tomorrow's race. So the Mercedes power unit still not bulletproof. And at this point in time, I don't think the Ferrari has been nerfed with any of the updates. And just a reminder that at the end of all these videos that I do, all these My Team career mode videos, that at the end of each video, I am going to show you every flashback that I used, every massive bin that I did throughout the race, just as a bit of perspective on, you know, I'm going to show you the race, and I do want to document, you know, that we do make mistakes. When we're learning things and we're trying to get good at things, we got to be able to accept that mistakes are going to happen. And I just want to document that and show you guys all my little mistakes that I made throughout the race that basically most of the times ended the race if I had left it there. This is my teammate again, and he's fighting with Ocon this time and getting the elbows out a little bit in this. Maybe it's because he's in Italy and this is one of his home races, but he's not giving up the position. He's showing a little bit of tenacity, and that's what we want to see from our second driver. And some more resource points, please. So still stuck behind this train of Gasly, Schumacher and Tsunoda. And she goes straight on here because I was trying to avoid running into the back of Gasly. And now we are on board with Gasly again. He's skipping ahead a little bit. He's going to make a move on Tsunoda, who has actually lost the position to Mick Schumacher, and Tsunoda goes straight on. So the pressure getting to him, that's not the first time he's done that, I don't think. And I get another track limits warning. And now it's basically me left behind. I need to try and make this move, otherwise I'm going to lose touch with those guys ahead. That's Vettel behind me, just having a look, and Tsunoda makes another mistake, and this time I'm able to take advantage of that. I have to kind of take evasive action, but I do get around him, and I think he might actually have a problem. Maybe there's like a bit of an engine problem. He's low on power, so that's why he seems to be falling back and holding everyone up. On the second to last lap, took a bit too much of that curb and incurred some underbody damage, which is something I'm not used to in F1 games. So it's good that little feature's in there. It adds a bit more realism. Science wins the sprint race and will start on pole for tomorrow's race, followed by Sergio Perez in second. It's a pretty comfortable race for both of those. We are in 13th position, so we've made a couple of positions up on our qualifying position, and that's not going to do anything for tomorrow's race, because at this point I wasn't aware that I was going to get a 7 million place grid drop for all the new components that I swapped out. So I don't know what else the penalty could have been for, but yeah, I'm starting at the back of the grid. So Science wins the sprint race and has a lead in the weekend standings, followed by Perez, Leclerc. The Ferrari is just in a different league at the moment. We're in 13th, my teammate's in 17th. Let's get into the race.
Welcome once again to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo and Dino Ferrari. The clue is in the name. This is very much Ferrari home turf, and the locals will be out in force today to support their team in what we hope will be a magnificent spectacle of motorsport. On then to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola, featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula One tracks as it's driven anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit and its only DRS zone. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Russell, Valtteri Bottas and Fernando Alonso, Magnussen, Verstappen, Ricciardo and Lando Norris, Mick Schumacher, Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda and Ocon, Alessio De Leda, Albon, Nicholas Latifi and Lance Stroll. Vettel, they've taken a grid penalty. Joe, the owner driver, and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Can we begin by having a chat about Charles Leclerc? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
So my engineer never really has anything to say at the beginning of the races so far, I've found. He just radio silence. We're going to go with a standard strategy right now. It's we're not trying to do anything too tricky. We're just trying to stay with everyone and see if we can use the same thing and get the best position possible. So mediums to hards.
The formation lap gets underway then, and it's going to be interesting today to see how the dry conditions could affect the lifespan of the tyres. They're almost ready to take the start of the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Okay, so here we are, effectively not the back, 21st position, because Hamilton is just behind us and he's going to make light work of us straight away as we get an okay start, but not the best start. And Hamilton is straight up already on Zhou Guanyu. We're going to just try and stay out of trouble here. There is a yellow flag, and that is Sainz from the lead. Goes straight on. Something happened there at the front. Let's maybe go back and have a look at the replay to see what happened there, because that is a big scalp early on. After all that work that he's done, going first in the sprint race and everything, and wants to start to mount a bit of a challenge for the championship. This is a big dent. And yep, just basically locking up going into the first corner and handing Perez the lead of the race. So it's Perez from Russell and then Fernando Alonso in third, followed by Charles Leclerc. And that's Bottas and one of the Haas's just behind them. So some interesting positions from some of the teams there. We're just coming up the hill here, and Hamilton is just making a nice, easy move. We're actually going down the hill there. This is at the end of lap 1, and Joe Guan actually has a problem, I think. He's got something already going on, which is not too dissimilar from real life. Science has already caught us, even after he's off and is passed. Not going to fight him, obviously. Just way too powerful in a straight line. He gets like kind of balked coming into that corner following line astern, and I was able to get up alongside him, but I'm really just trying not to lose any time behind the AI, and the quicker he can get that done, the better. Leclerc now is trying to get past Fernando Alonso, and makes the move through the first chicane. Still, you can see he's got the hard tires on, so the Alpine is actually running, both Alpines are running an alternate strategy in this race, so we'll see how that goes for them. Verstappen trying to make a move on Daniel Ricciardo, I think it is, and he actually may have some wing damage from that one, because he did hit the side of the McLaren. That might actually be Lando Norris that he hit, and it is wing damage. It's got to be. That's why he's coming into the pits. So just more drama and disaster for Max Verstappen, as his race weekend goes from bad to worse, because he was already starting way back in the sprint race, made up a bunch of positions, and now he's right at the back again. So not good for Red Bull. This is Hamilton moving through the field as well. Same situation as Verstappen. And this is Stroll he's making a move on. And he goes straight on. And he's in the mud, in the sand as well, into the first corner. So a lot of AI locking up into that first corner. So we go on board for the replay and just locking that inside left front tire, and just driver error really. And yeah, having a lot of trouble, Hamilton and Verstappen, getting through the field. So as I had predicted before, hindsight being on my advantage, because I kind of know what happened. He has an engine problem, so we're going to try and get past him as quick as we can so we don't get held up through this little chicane here, get the move done, and we are now not chasing Science. We are after Stroll.
We're currently trailing our teammate by 6.5 seconds.
Verstappen. No, sorry. I got confused there by the fastest lap. Hamilton makes the move past us again. That just shows the pace difference between our car and the front running cars. That was a couple of laps after he had that mistake into turn 1. But this is now the battle at the front. So Perez leads. It's Russell in second and Leclerc in third. And remember, Alonso's in a bit of a distant fourth now, but he's on those hard tires, so he's going to be going longer than these guys. Leclerc trying to make the move down this enormous straight with that massive power advantage and DRS. And does he make the move on Russell? Russell's coming back, and no, unable to make the move stick. So Russell hangs on to second position, and Perez would be creeping away there, would have got out of DRS. next lap, and Leclerc again, this time starting from way closer to Russell, and that one was pretty easy, just straight by. Not much George Russell could do about that one, and Leclerc moves his way up into second and is now going to go chase down Sergio Perez. It'd be very disheartening for Sainz to know that their car is so quick here and he's basically just handed a win away because of his mistake on turn 1, lap 1. Now I've caught up to the back of Stroll, who's stuck behind Latifi, and I think that's why I caught him. Latifi's not got the pace, and now it's just a matter of maybe trying to capitalize on that and getting past Stroll. The Aston Martin isn't technically supposed to be as quick as us, but you know, in that lower part of the performance index, we're all about the same. There's not much of a difference between myself and the McLarens and the Aston Martins. It's all pretty tight. So there's only a few real passing opportunities on this track, and this is the main one. But what I found is that I don't have the straight line speed. Like, one, I had a slightly bad exit, and I don't, unless I'm right up behind them, as Stroll does get past Latifi, I have difficulty pulling him in, even with DRS and ERS being deployed. So a lot to be done in the area of, as we get a track limits warning, limiting the drag and maybe putting some more engine power. We have the most powerful engine, but yeah, we need to do something about aero. So, I mean, see here, I've got DRS and deployed some ERS, and even the Williams was able to basically keep its distance from me. I wasn't dragging him in at any form of knots, rate of knots, as they like to say, but doing the same as my teammate did in the sprint race, and not sure what the collision was there, but going into that really quick left-hander there, I've made the move, and we're up into 19th position. Yippee. Make a little bit of a mistake, run deep there, and I'm actually catching up to the back of this pack with Stroll and Albon and a bunch of others. Leclerc now going for the lead on Sergio Perez. Has a little bit of a touch on the grass as he gets squeezed by Perez, but still able to get past. The Ferrari engine, the Ferrari power is just way too superior at this point in time, and does it quite easily, as he did on George Russell, who hasn't dropped away. He's actually looks like he's pulling in Sergio Perez. So maybe the Mercedes has more speed than the Red Bull at this point in time. Pardon me. I held that in through that whole sequence. We are going to make our pit stop on this lap. So, as does Leclerc. Leclerc comes in from the lead, and Perez retakes the lead, and he will be going on to the hard tyre now. No errors, no mistakes. Leclerc out of the pits, and could be going for that undercut. Make sure you get a nice lead when he comes back onto track.
The pit crew are out in the lane and ready to perform their magic on the car. They're going to be aiming to achieve the fastest pit stop time possible.
I forgot to turn off the broadcast version of this. This is why when I went in, I was like, oh, I lost control. So yeah, and I think I forgot to turn it off for the next race that I do. So that was unintentional, but hey, let's just have a look at the broadcast version of the pit stop, and that's what it looks like. So we come out just in front of Verstappen, who had that damage to his car, and now Perez and Russell come in for their pit stop, and it looks like Russell has closed up right to the back of Perez, and they're line astern in. And slow stop from Red Bull. That's not like them. And that has given Russell the move ahead of Perez in the pits. Thought he would have got it done on track, but he's actually jumped him in the pit stop. So Mercedes now in second position in this race as Leclerc comes through to retake the lead. Well, he's not actually in the lead. Alonso's in the lead because he's got those hard tires on. He's doing that long stint. So Alpine lead the race for now as Leclerc tries to make the move on Alonso. He doesn't want to get backed up and have these guys catch him, Russell and Perez. But the wily old fox is in the lead of the race, something he's done so many times before in his career. And could this strategy pay off? Not if he does stuff like that. So he goes wide and Leclerc makes the move. And now, how long can Fernando hold on? Maybe he can help Ferrari here, his old team, break away from this pack. So it seems that potentially this strategy could work because he's right up there with the leaders. He's got a bit more to go, and then when he gets on those quicker tires, he's only going to be faster than everyone else. And this is my teammate coming out of the pits, and here we go again. Deletta. Oh my god. What are you doing? He's lost his whole wing on me again. This is the 3rd out of 4 races. So 3 out of 4 races, he's lost his wing. And in 2 of those races, he lost his wing running into me. So I just finished talking him up and saying how good he was getting his elbows out. Yeah, we're starting to see some things from him. And then he goes and does something like that. So I'm not impressed. Not happy, Jan. I really... Yeah, like this is going to start getting the gears going in my brain about what to do with him because... Yeah, it's we can't have that. You're not scoring resource points. You're damaging the car. You're running into your teammate. It's like, are you a spy? Are you trying to sabotage our team? I don't understand. Anyway, Alonso pits and he's going onto those medium compound tires. So he just gets rid of those hards. He's done his long first stint. And we're going to see if this actually pays off for him and could be potentially a good little guide for myself for future races, whether or not this is something we should be doing, because it is a track that I've found was not the most difficult to pass at, but you know, there weren't many opportunities. And if you can sort of jump a few people with an extra bit of pace during that pit stop period, then it's definitely something to consider. Now, this is Ocon. Now, this is what I'm talking about. He has jumped right up behind Sergio Perez. So, I don't know if Perez has got a problem here because even with the pit stop, Ocon was way back in the field. And he's leapt everyone. And given he hasn't made his pit stop yet, but he is right on the back of Perez and didn't seem to be like fading. He would have caught up to him, I think. So now going from his hards to his medium compound tires, we'll see what he can accomplish as Sainz makes the move on Lewis Hamilton. So these guys are, I think, lingering on the cusp of the top 10 and just trying to make their way back through the field, as is Max Verstappen, as we see him here trying to make his way past one of the AlphaTauris who are a fair way down the field as well. I think this might actually be Sonoda, who he does eventually make the move on and get past. Like, I mean, there's a couple of Williams. There's a Williams there, or so Williams and an Aston Martin. So he's still a fair way back down the field. Sainz now has come up onto Lando Norris and a fairly decent dive bomb there onto his former teammate into that first corner, who is now coming under pressure from Lewis Hamilton, who is just following Sainz through as they both trying to recover something from this race. And they're already closing in on the Haas of Mick Schumacher, who's doing quite well in this race. The Haas are showing a lot of pace. I think Magnussen is in 6th at the moment and Mick Schumacher is in 7th. So Haas are showing some good pace throughout the first few races this season, as Sainz now comes up the inside here on Mick and makes the move through turn 1, which seems to be his favorite spot, which is pretty easy to do in that car when you got a straight that is as long as this. And I get done by Stroll with about 5 to 6 laps remaining. I'm now in 19th out of 22, and honestly, throughout this whole race, I didn't have a lot of pace as Hamilton eases his way past Mick Schumacher, who doesn't really put up much of a fight. That's just kind of a, I know you're going to take the position. I'm not going to fight you for it. I'm just going to minimize the amount of time that I lose to Lando Norris behind me. Yeah, I really didn't have a lot of pace in this race, and it could be that I hadn't raced this track in a while, but I felt like I was getting to grips with it pretty quickly. It's not unknown to me, and as I was talking about before, I do get up alongside Stroll, who seems to be weaving all over the place in a straight line, but I just don't have enough to get the move done down that straight. I just literally don't have the straight line speed to get up alongside and past like some of these other guys. And as we move on to the next lap, I am losing touch, and I really found it hard to stay within DRS range of that Aston Martin as Mick Schumacher pulls over and is retiring from the race. So just after we said how good he was doing, his car fails on him and no points for Mick Schumacher as we gain another position and we are up into 18th. Yippee. As you can see here, like I really can't do anything about Stroll, which is concerning. Maybe it was just this track. Maybe our car isn't good here. Yeah, I was really struggling to stay with him at the end there, and I just kind of resigned myself to the fact that that's where I was going to finish. So this is Alonso, and I swear Perez has an issue because everyone has been catching him, and Alonso, after his pit stop, is making pretty significant progress on closing that gap on Perez. So could Alonso have enough left, because this is going on to the final lap, to make a move? Maybe could he get him with that pace advantage, or is there just too little time now? Because it does seem that he's made up a very big gap in the short space of time that has elapsed since his pit stop.
Okay, this is your final lap of the race.
Leclerc comes out of the final corner and wins the race. So Ferrari just continue to show superior pace. To be honest, my race wasn't that interesting. I spent a lot of it down the back, well, all of it down the back, and 18th was the best I could do. I only gained 3 positions. Not sure if that was maybe something to do with the car not having those upgrades and we could have maybe been a bit faster. Not sure, but it was not a race to remember, and yeah, got some work to do.
And that's it then for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and what a sensational victory they've managed to pull off here. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on track was: speed. I know it sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
Now, guys, I'm going to comment on this just briefly and just let you guys know that this will be the last time I do a podium cutscene until they fix this problem. Ever since that update came out, it's been getting worse, and I've done a couple more races since this one, and it's just like unbearable at some of them. but mainly it's the podium and some of the, like, when you're sitting in the car in the pits. This flickering problem is just everywhere in the cutscenes. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of move on from these until they fix the issue, which I think they will. So Charles Leclerc wins the race, wins the weekend as well, followed by George Russell and then Sergio Perez. Fernando Alonso finishes in 4th. Also a good showing from Bottas, who's in 5th in the Alfa Romeo, and Sainz was able to actually get his way back up to 6th position, so recovered quite well. I'm in 18th. Deletta, we're not going to talk about him. I don't want to talk about him right now. Leclerc leads the championship by 22 points over Verstappen, who is closely followed by Russell and Sainz. And yeah, not much going on for us. We're just down the back of the championship standings without any points. In the constructors, Ferrari have a pretty handy lead over Red Bull and Mercedes now. And now we're going to get into the flashbacks. This is practice. I took my wing off. Not going to, wear that. Just want to get the programs done. So round that one back. This is in the sprint race. Lap 1.
I'm out. Crash. Somebody hit me in the rear, turn 2, and then somebody hit me in the rear again in turn 3.
Sprint race again, and that one was my fault. Just lost the front of my wing there. And then again in the sprint race, and then this was at the beginning of the actual race. Same thing again. It's just the starts really is where I had to get my act together. And this one was at the beginning of the first lap of the race. This is Sainz coming back through. I didn't know he was there. I wasn't aware that he was there. Went to take the corner and he just completely messed up my floor, and then I messed up probably his diffuser with that massive hit. It was all really turn 1 and first lap incidences, except for that one. That was Verstappen. I probably could have done better there, but that was pretty much it. Like, I didn't have any need for flashbacks after that. I was getting through those first few laps, and then I was fine after that. So I feel like I'm improving and keeping myself out of trouble for the most part. I mean, there were still a lot of things there that I could have improved on, but yeah, that's how it's going to go with this stuff, guys. Like, I'm going to keep harping on that I am still picking up this again, and I haven't raced these games in any kind of seriousness for 10 years, and I just want to document for anyone out there who's considering doing something like this themselves and doesn't feel like they're good enough, that people aren't going to watch their channel, or they're not going to respect what they're doing. Just do it. Like, who cares? I'm having so much fun. No one's watched my videos yet at this point, so, and I don't care. Like, I'm just having fun going through this and learning how to get better at this game again, and learning from the one guy that I watch his channel, and just trying to pick up any little tips and tricks about the game to get myself good again. I feel like I know a lot about F1 and have been following it for over 30 years, but still, there's always things you can learn. There's always ways you can improve your game. So I've got a long journey to go, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm having so much fun already doing it, but this is how it's going to go. These first season, maybe a few seasons, are going to be a real grind for me. Like, I'm going to have to really figure out what I'm doing wrong to get good faster, not have to rely on like things like flashbacks so heavily. I'm as the season goes, I'm going to start limiting those things. I'm going to start turning some things off, adding some things on to make the thing more harder for me, to make the game more competitive. Like, once I feel like I'm getting too good for the settings that I've got it on, I'm going to make it harder. And that's just what this whole channel is about, is just constantly raising the bar. Anyway, guys, that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys again soon for another My Team career mode race, and also check out the My Team sim career as well, where I am just managing the team, but I'm not actually racing the races. I'm simming all driving elements of the series, and we're just going to see what happens, see what eventuates, see where we can get our team without actually physically racing the car. So that's going on. Go check that out in the playlists. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.